Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my Paragon Guide series. I am Sylphin. In today's video we are looking at the balance between damage, attack speed, and crit for all of the fighters and rangers. Now, it's in spreadsheet format. Don't get alarmed. I'm going to walk through this very, hopefully nicely, hopefully it makes sense. We can get right to it. So, here it is. Damage versus attack speed versus crit with the 50% bonus. Because if you're going for crit, you are certainly going to get that 50% bonus in there. Definitely, you can work that in as a good damage sink. So, some assumptions that we started off with. As all damage builds have been nerfed about a month ago now, people are starting to finally, like I have been kind of thinking all along, starting to go for armor, starting to go for health, to go for mobility, tokens, and other cards. That's meaning that all of these 60 card point attack builds certainly just aren't as viable anymore, as their stats have been reduced and just some certain scaling things have occurred. So we are assuming that about 15 card points out of the 60 will be used for tankiness, for health, for other mobility items. So we have 45 card points of value. Remember, of value, including fully upgraded bonuses, to play with. We are using 45 points of card power, the value that they have, to play with. So, given that we have 45 card points of value to play with, what is the optimal distribution between damage, attack speed, and crit with each of these characters, given that we're only working with 45? So let's start with the process here. I'm going to explain the spreadsheet very quickly. You see that there are two axes right here, and each of them are for a different stat. This one is for damage, and this one is for crit. On this one down here, this one is for damage, and this one is attack speed. And finally, this one is for attack speed, and this one is for crit. Now, it took me a while to get all of the math correct, but it is all sound. Trust me when I say I've spent more than enough time on this. I could have been with my son, so that's kind of how important this is to me. Maybe that is my bad, but all right, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with Chimera. I'm going to show you one example, and then I will come over here and explain all of those. Maybe I should hide those, but take a look if you want. So let's go. Chimera, he attacks 0.87 attacks per second, so we can simply put in his attack speed up over here. His basic attack at max level, at level 15, is 54 damage, and he gets scaling on his basic attack from cards by 0.8, so he gets 80% of the value of any damage that you build for his basic attack. So we can look here that you have the card points, the card point here, and then you have the value of these card points, 15 card points of crit. That equals 45% crit chance. 45 card points of damage equals 292.5 extra damage. So we have 45 to work with. So let's find what gives us the most DPS when we have 45 card points between damage and crit. Let's start off with crit. Let's say 15 points of crit, meaning we need 30 to equal our 45. So here we are at 265 DPS. Is there a different combination between crit and damage that gives us more DPS? Yes, there is. Look right here, 267, and it looks like that is where it maxes out. 267 right here, and we can see that this is 34 points of damage value and 11 card points of crit value. So we can see that this is about a 1-to-3 ratio between crit and damage. About a 1-to-3 ratio. I'm going to go down here, and in my little handy dandy little easy calculator thing here, I'm going to put a ratio between crit and damage as 1-to-3. We're going to come back to that later. Let's move on to a damage and attack speed. So, is there a combination of damage and attack speed that gives us the most damage? Okay, so actually, let's see, where were we? 11 and 34, 267. Put that right up there. Chimera, 267 DPS for a only crit build. So let's go down here. Let's say he definitely scales quite well with attack speed. So let's go 20 points of attack speed, meaning we need 25 points of damage to equal our 45 in total. Whoops, right here. There we are. So 336 DPS. Is this the highest combination of attack speed and damage? No. 1 over. So a touch more than a a touch less than 4-to-5 ratio between attack speed and damage. So a 20 to 25 is a 4-to-5 ratio. 336, I mean it's 37, but we can be there. 336 attack speed build that gives us the maximum DPS, 336. So attack speed is a 4-to-5 ratio. So simple math here gives us if crit is 1-to-3, how much crit is there in a damage is of 5 to 4? So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 1 is, oh no, sorry, that's 5. 5. Crit. 1-to-3. 1-to-3. Yeah, 5. Yeah, there you go. So 15, 12, and 5. Okay, so that is our ratio between damage, attack speed, and crit. That is our ratio, so our total ratio here is 32. So out of the total points of 45, total points of value here in 45, this should be the distribution of card power to give us the highest DPS in a balanced build, in a balance between attack speed and crit. Let's verify this for a second. 21 points of damage and 17 points of attack speed. 21 and 17, 21 points of damage and 17 points of attack speed. Let's see if I am correct. 275, 276, very, very close. So we know that this ratio is indeed sound. Let's see, 7 to 21 for crit. So 21 damage to 7, I said? Yes, so let's see here. 172, 173, 774, 175. Okay, so the crit ratio is a touch off, but it's like 2% off, 3% off, so not really that big of a deal. But okay, so we know that maybe we could take one from each of these here, but that might screw up this. So that's good enough. That's good enough. So now we need to utilize this spreadsheet here. This only utilizes the base damage. So we're going to take 21 points of damage, which is 136.5, and add it to our base attack damage. We have to apply our damage scaling, however, because he does scale with the damage that's applied to his basic attack. So that means that including the scaling and in addition to his basic attack, he's going to do 163.2 basic attack damage. Now this section here applies the attack speed and crit onto that amount of damage. So let's see, 17 attack speed and 7 crit, sorry. 17 attack speed and 7 crit. Is this the highest DPS for a balanced build? Almost. Basically, yes. 334 DPS for a build of 21 damage, 18 attack speed, and 6 crit. 21, 18, and 6. 21, 18, and 6. And that gives us how much here? 18 and 6, 334. 334 damage there. Take a look. Here you go. Here is the mathematical proof, ladies and gentlemen, for the crit. On all crit build on Chimera gives you 267 DPS. All attack speed build on Chimera gives you a 336 attack DPS. And a balance build gives you a 334. Almost the same. Now, some caveats. A balance build is going to be harder to do simply because we are assuming you have the 50% bonus. So you're going to have to work that bonus in there with the build, getting all that attack speed and all of that crit to work together. You know, you're going to have to get creative, but I mean, it certainly does work. If you want that crit, if you want that chance to maybe crit 5 times in a row and totally nuke the enemy, you know, you're going to have to build for that, and you're going to have to take that chance. Remember, crit in this scenario, you know, it's highly chance. You might get 5 crits in a row, but that's highly unlikely. So, you know, you just have to keep that in mind. Also, remember, we are assuming we are only playing with 45 points of value here. We're assuming the other 15 is being used for tank, for other cards, and etc. Remember that these relationships here are all on curves. They're all on curves. So once you start playing around with the total value and you start playing around with the relationships and the ratio between everything, everything changes. Everything changes. For example, if you only have 10 card points to put into damage and attack speed, look at how the ratio changes here. 5 and 5, 5 points of attack speed and 5 points of damage gives. Who are we right now? We're still on Chimera. You know, let's put his normal attack here. 5 and 5. Let's see here. Is this the highest DPS? No, not by far. Look at this. Pretty much all damage. It's a 1-to-9 ratio when you're only working with 10. So you can see that these ratios changes. If you're going for all out damage, if you have all 60 card points into damage, well, then these ratios are going to be off. You know, attack speed is probably going to be actually probably a better role here. I don't know. Maybe the balance. I haven't run the numbers just because maybe not really interested in going 60 card points into an all-fighter build myself. So there you go. And then you can see, ladies and gentlemen, I went ahead and did all of the other characters here for you, all of the other heroes. Some interesting things happened. You can see that these balance builds do actually work out so that they're pretty much similar. We have some interesting things. Feng Mao, 10 DPS more. Grim, 12 DPS. Grim and Murdoch, they have the same stats. They work, they scale both the same, Grim and Murdoch. So you can see a balanced build is a touch better. And again, that crit might have some extra value in that you might crit 5 times in a row. You don't know. So that is kind of exciting there. Sparrow looks like, you know, attack speed's very nice over her crit. Crit really doesn't work for her, and the balanced build does. Twin Blast, look, even if you do go for crit, doing quite well in terms of crit builds, but you can see that he's quite there. Greystone and Grux, I was surprised. Crit is much better than a balanced approach for them, but look at their attack speed. That explains why I see so many Grux and Greystones going for incredible attack speed builds. Because you can see there that attack speed on Grux and Greystone far superior for any combination of attack speed and crit, and definitely much better than crit. There you guys have it. I'm trying to think if there's any other things I should mention, but that is about it. Let me know down in the comments. Am I missing some glaring thing? Pretty sure I'm not, but there you go. I wanted to share this with you. You know, enlighten maybe some of you into how, you know, crit works. I know the high crit builds a few months ago were really popular. It was nerfed, I do believe, and you can see here, it's just crit is it's very chance. So you know, while you might say, yeah, 50 DPS or 100 DPS a second, whatever, I might agree with you. I mean, you might get lucky and get 4 or 5 crits in a row, or you might crit 3 times, and you know, so it certainly could be viable. That's pretty good DPS anyways, so there you go. Let me know down in the comments what you think about that. If you like the video, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. Please share it with the community, and of course, subscribe. If you found this video useful, if you found it just enjoyable, please subscribe so I can do it for you next time. Until next time, like always, take care.